Welcome to the CMO Chapter podcast, where we dive deep into the dynamic world of Chief Marketing Officers. Join us as we explore the careers, insights, and strategies of top marketing executives who shape the brands we know and love. Whether you're a seasoned marketer, aspiring CMO, or simply just curious to understand what it really takes to step into the shoes of a CMO. This podcast is your backstage pass to discovering what it's like to really lead and innovate in the ever-evolving landscape of business. Stay tuned as we uncover the stories of the visionaries behind the brand. So I am absolutely delighted today. Super excited to have the one and only fabulous Anna Samkova with us. Welcome.
Thank you, Lucy. It's nice to be here.
Well, I am so delighted to have you on the CMO Chapters podcast. I've been really looking forward to recording this episode, actually. Anna is somebody who I've known, I think, in my network for quite a while. It's been a client, and then, now through consulting, we've certainly reconnected. And I feel, our listeners today are going to find Anna's story and her career journey super inspiring. So I know I'm putting you on a little bit of a pedestal there.
Thank you.
So Anna, please start. If you could start by introducing yourself, that would be great.
Oh, thanks, Lucy. Thanks for the opportunity. And thank you for being in touch. I always enjoy our catch-ups. And I sincerely hope that this episode will help your listeners, because it is ultimately, it's not about me, but if I can share some nuggets from my story that can inspire people, that's what I would like to achieve with this episode. That would be lovely. But yes, before anyone will question my accent, I am originally from Ukraine. I migrated to Australia 31 years ago. So Australia has been home, not from day one, but after about 3 years of struggle, it became home for sure. So, and I've never looked back, and obviously made the right decision back then when it is obvious now. But it was a bit daunting at the time to move countries and learn a different language, because I didn't speak English when I arrived, and I was already 23 years old. I finished uni in Ukraine, and I was just in the beginning to starting my career, and already had a couple of job offers too. But then I decided to move for a couple of years and then got stuck in here. But I'm very happy I did.
You're here to stay.
Oh, for sure now.
So tell me a bit more. So your background since being in Melbourne. So I remember I worked with you when you were at the PASS Group. So you were there for about 10 years, I think it was, or just over. And then more recently, is it 2 years now? I'm thinking, right? You've had Albany Consulting, is that right? Albany Consulting.
Albany Advisory, I've been in since March last year. So this is our first year anniversary. So very exciting. Yes, I left Brand Collective in December 2023 after studying at PAS, and then been merged with Brand Collective, dropped the PAS name, became Brand Collective Group, and overall I stayed there for 15 years.
Yeah, excellent. And your background has always been in that sort of like digital loyalty, CX sort of remit. How did you, I mean, I'm guessing you didn't necessarily start in that. So how did you evolve over the years? Did you just find what you enjoyed and, really just started to sort of throw yourself into it? Or
Lucy, good. I wish I could find what I enjoyed. It was the first few years was purely about survival, really, and trying to learn the language, try to make some money, and earn the living. My daughter was born 11 months after I arrived in the country as well. So that was an interesting transition on its own. So yeah, it was a lot to think about it. No, I didn't have time to think about enjoyment. So I was purely focusing on survival. And then it was touch go. Should I just drop everything and go back where everything is already established and everything is convenient and my family is there and I could rely on support? Or just continue the grind and go through the challenge. So, and that's where I started flexing my resilience muscle, I suppose, and do what felt uncomfortable. So learning the new language at the age of 24 was very uncomfortable. And having the newborn in the country that I knew no one was very uncomfortable as well. But career-wise, I had a marketing background, and I fell into this role after running my own business for about 4 years here already. I fell into the corporate role. I think you remember Dodo Internet
Yeah.
when they just started. And I remember being approached by the founder, and he said to me, I need someone to build a loyalty program for my customers. And at that time, they had a database of 439,000 people. I don't know why I remember this number, but obviously it stuck with me. And my question to him was, what's loyalty program? And his answer was, I don't know. Just go and find out. All I want some sort of deals for my customers. That's all I
Yeah.
want. So I went and asked millions of questions. And I am, by nature, I have a very curious mind, and I do go above and beyond when I'm interested in something. And yes, I was challenged to find out what it was. And then we launched it on national TV a year and a half later, and somehow it made me a loyalty specialist very quickly. So, and then, yes, I never looked back. So from loyalty and marketing, I fell into digital before the digital became a thing, because uh, I, I was in retail already. I was at Paz Group, and I had a person sitting next to me putting some clothing into express post envelopes, and she would have about 10 bags under her desk. And I said to her, what are you doing? And she said, we have this lookbook online, but people can just see what we sell. I said, yes. And she says, well, occasionally somehow they manage to place orders online. And that's what I do. I'll just fulfill those orders. So anyway, I'll look into it. And then it became a multi-million dollar
Gosh.
online e-commerce business
Wow.
a few years later. Yeah. So I just literally just falling into things. So.
Wow. Wow. You make it sound so simple. I just fall into this.
Yeah, well, because I don't wait for opportunities to come to me. I create opportunities. I work hard. I'm curious. I learn a lot, and I stay ahead. I have great connection and relationship with people over the years. But look, it's it probably sounds glamorous, but it hasn't been, because I was battling my health issues as well. I had I had a major car accident when I was still in Ukraine. I was 20 years old, so my life kind of flashed before me very quickly, and I was in and out of hospitals for about 5 years. So Gabby's birth kind of was a miracle, because I was officially told that it is unlikely that I will ever have kids due to the severity of my injuries as well, and that took such long recovery. No one actually believed that I will recover, but somehow I kind of played with life and told myself a story every single day. What if today is the only day I have to live? What would I do? And
Mm.
so I called it later the game of life. Obviously, I did it intuitively, but I just wanted to really see how long I've got, and what I can fit into the time that I have. I didn't believe that I can live. Well, I'm 54 now. That live that long. So it was touch go for a long time. But yes, somehow I'm still around, and still doing what fulfills me. So
Wow.
it's been great.
Do you think, and this, I don't mean to go too deep here, but do you think having gone through something quite horrendous like that really early on in your career has almost made you fairly fearless, where you just go, you know what? Like, I mean, I look at you now and I see you as a very successful, business lady. You've accomplished a lot. You've got a fantastic reputation, a fantastic network, a great, incredible credibility. But with that, there comes a lot of, you've got to put your neck out on the line and you've got to be a little bit fearless. Do you think having gone through something quite horrendous like that early on, you sort of became stronger and almost, you said that had that game of life you wanted to sort of just play around with. Do you think that helps just spur you on?
To say absolutely. I was quite a shy. child growing up. I know it's very difficult to imagine right now, but but I was. And since the car accident, the whole survival journey, I didn't have any psychologist or I didn't get any counseling at all. So everyone was just so focused on repairing my body physically on a physical level, but not on a mental one. So no one worked with me at all with my mental state of mind, which wasn't great because, I kind of really experienced that death, whatever that means, for a very short period of time. And it wasn't fun. And I was in my last year of uni. And because it impacted my face as well. So I had a plastic surgery on my face too. So I couldn't really, well, I could, but I didn't want to see myself in the mirror for about a year after that happened because it did not look. So, at 20 years old, you kind of can't see half of your face. It's a bit dramatic. So it impacted my confidence, but a lot. But what it gave me that sense of urgency in terms of life is too short. And I don't know if you've heard the news about Daniel Bracken this
Um,
week. I knew Daniel well,
yeah.
and it impacted me a lot. So at 57, his life just ended without any warning, just like that. So, and it shook the entire retail community. And I have this sense that I live with every single day because I also have a very intimate understanding of death, that it can happen anytime. I don't want to be very negative on the call, but one
Mm,
thing for certain, that what we know, we're all going to die. It's just a different timing for everyone. So I get that sense of urgency at the age of 20 to live to my fullest potential and to discover. It was up to me. I took full control of that for me to discover what it might be, because you always have two choices. And after the car accident, I could have just drowned in depression, and I had
mm,
access to very fancy medication and morphine because I was in a lot of pain, so it was readily available to me at any time. So it wasn't that difficult to overdo on those painkillers. But you can take that route and become an addict and what have you, or you can stepped up to this challenge and say, okay, well, it happened to me for a reason. So why don't I just discover what's beyond that? And it meant that I had to feel uncomfortable every single day. And I dropped all the fear, but it doesn't really matter. If I only have 24 hours, what would it matter? What it would matter to me is just to live with no regret. So what would
yeah.
I want to do right now that will impact my future self, where I'll live with no regret? So it's a mindset.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. You shared this story with me when we caught up recently, and well, I think it was last year now. And I have to say, I have a lot of coffees with a lot of people, but I was blown away by that story. I think I meet so many people, but then to really understand what goes on behind how they've got to where they are, I just find fascinating. And that story certainly really, I know it's going to resonate with many of our listeners, I'm sure.
The strangest thing that I actually didn't think that the story was that interesting. And I only share it publicly, probably I started to a few months ago because so many people actually ask me, will you write the book? I'm thinking, why would I want to write a book? Like, everyone experiences it. But it turns out that it's not everyone, and I hope not everyone,
Yeah,
because no one wants to go through so much hardship. But if you do, and the life presents itself with all this situation and circumstances that we have no control over it. I wasn't driving that car. I was a passenger in that car. I had no control whatsoever. But I saw the incoming car and I knew this was going to be the end. But luckily for me, it wasn't. So what do I do with it? Like, how do I turn it around?
incredible. I want to go back to the past group. So I think you got to, am I correct if I said the title was GM of Digital? I think, is
Yeah,
that
digital
right?
and loyalty. Yeah.
Yeah, digital and loyalty. So at that point, how many would you have been managing round about that sort of level?
That it has probably would have had 15 to 20.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. It's after the merger, it became a bigger team. There were about 40 people.
yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of marketing managers that, they want to gain more responsibilities because they see the big salary and they think, right, well, if I want to buy that house or I want to live here, I want to have a certain standard of life, I've got to be earning the big salary. And so to do that, I've got to manage a team and I've got to get the big numbers. And it's not, I've certainly learned over the years, I've seen it firsthand, it's not for everybody. So, I mean, how did you evolve into becoming that leader in terms of harnessing your management style and actually because you've got different personalities there. Some management approaches are going to work for some people and they're not for others. Did that just happen over time?
Absolutely. Oh, just exactly what you said. I evolved into it. I never had this idea that this is the package that I want to have. This is the title I want to acquire. This is how many people I want to manage. I just evolved into it. So I never asked anyone for any promotions ever in my career. I never ever had to have this conversation. I never asked for a pay rise. I just have this tenacity of showing up every single day and do the work and do it well. And for me, it became that it's about incrementality as well. How can you do better every
Oh
single
yeah.
day? The
Uh,
famous book, Atomic Habits, but that was for me, it was before the book. I'm glad that the book came out because I could finally actually um, conceptualize it to myself, what I've been doing over the years. But you evolve when you step into the challenge because you sometimes not everything could be perfect and lined up in front of you and people come to you and say, I would like to promote you because you're doing such a good job. And it's sometimes you just need to look into what it is that you do every single day and how it impacts people around you. And then you have to overlay this with what can I do better every single
uh,
day so that
uh,
tomorrow I'll be a better leader, a better person, a better manager than I am today. And yes, you're right. It does depend on, there are so many personalities in the team that everyone's got a different day. Someone has a good day, someone has a bad day. You have to manage the dynamic. You need to make sure that they all have a common
uh,
vision as well. So you have to be a very good communicator, one on one and one to many. I think the inclusion is very important, taking people on the journey with you. And sometimes I think it's very healthy to show your vulnerability as well as a leader. You're not going to get all the answers all the time, but and it's okay to admit that.
Did you have mentors? Like, I mean, you were in Melbourne at a young age. You had to learn how to speak English. You've really accomplished a lot. Along the way, have you been comfortable asking for a mentor, or did you have people that you sort of look back and go, look, they were those sort of guiding lights in a way in tough times?
Well, I wish I had an opportunity to listen to ask for mentor because I didn't know anyone, so I didn't have an existing network I had to build. But do you
Yeah.
know what I've learned? It's an interesting one. I've learned that y- you never become, well, I don't mean you, but I'm generalizing that no one becomes successful on their own. If people look back on the journey, they will always find that there were people that inspired them, supported them, they backed them up.
Hmm.
And I think we can call them mentors, we can call them friends. It can be a
Mm.
combination of all, but none of us do it on our own. None of us. And we always have someone that we can call, text, rely on, and those people are being our backers as well. But then the better relationship you have with people, the more backup you're going to have because they will know you, they will know your patterns. I have a number of friends whom I can call after not calling probably for 10 years and we'll connect immediately. And they're the ones who tell me exactly and they will remember our conversation 10 years ago. So there is that connection that you need to nurture with like-minded people in your circle for sure. But yes, over the years, I was so fortunate to bump into people that believed in me, gave me a chance, gave me an opportunity, supported me through my choices. Absolutely, it
Yeah.
wasn't just me.
No, no, absolutely. You mentioned just then that you obviously had to build up your networks from scratch. And I know something that, a lot of marketers, when I speak to them, male and female, they do struggle with putting themselves out there and networking in general. What advice would you give to those individuals that, they're wanting to sort of promote more of their personal brand and get out there? And, is there any advice you'd sort of say which would be a good starting point?
For sure. My recommendation is an excellent question, by the way. My recommendation, don't ever make it about you because it's not about you. It's about that person who is in front of you. So just be understanding before you feel understood. For example, step up first, offer the help first, volunteer to for support first, reach out to that person first, be the first person to do that, to step closer to whatever that other person is, and keep and have very good relationship with people ongoing, not when you want them, but when actually you feel that they are in that vulnerable moment where they can do some good with a cup of tea or a conversation or whatever it might be, or just a walk together, because all of us have those moments. And when we can be in front of people and in those moments, it goes a long way. And it's again this accumulative effect, over the years. This is how you build a relationship. You and I, probably, you're very active on LinkedIn, and I absolutely love your authenticity that comes through your posts. But you and I see this game on LinkedIn every single day when people hop on and then just say me, 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 and they just hop off. And then you don't see
Yeah.
them again until they're there again announcing something else. It doesn't work because we strive on authentic connections, and people can feel it. They know
Yes.
when it's about just about them or when it's about everyone else. And I use that scenario in customer experience strategies as well. You cannot do anything wrong when you follow the customer. It's
Mm,
impossible. Not
mhm.
possible. But you know what they want, how they want it, what make them feel good, what makes them shop with the brand, whatever that moment for them. And when you follow and you support them on the journey and you provide them with what it is that they want, or if you just solve their headaches as a starting point, you can't do anything wrong. So when you step out of what about you to what about them,
Yes.
situation, again, you will always build great connection with people.
Uh, I think that's it, and you spot on. I think around those authentic connections. People crave that and want that, and I think you've got to play. I hate saying this, but the long game in some instances. You meet people, and then great, you've had a coffee, and there might not be anything there, but initially, but then in 6 months, there's another. Oh, we could maybe work here together, or there's a collaboration opportunity, or there's I'll introduce you to this person who I just spoke to. So
Yeah, perfect example of that. If people just follow what you do, I think they will just nail it. And because it's not about what we say, but what we do when we say it that matters as well. And we just be meant to lead by example. And I think you do a fantastic job at it because you lead by example. And if people don't know what to post on LinkedIn and they're not sure, they should read your posts, because then it just comes through in such a helpful and warm and authentic way that it's a pleasure.
oh, well, that's really kind. I'd say the same about yours as well. I love the case studies that you put together. They're brilliant. I want to talk a little bit more about Albany Advisory. So this is where you currently work now. So what was the decision around going consulting? I'm just curious to understand, because I'm getting a lot of marketers now that are going down that route of becoming fractional CMOs or consulting, etc. So what way do you want to go down that path?
See, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I didn't make that decision. I just fell into it, literally fell into it. Because I stepped
Right.
out and I announced on LinkedIn that I'm out of Brand Collective. And in my head, I thought that it would be a very good idea to have a sabbatical for a year. I don't know why I thought that it would be a good idea, with my personality, but everyone reached out to me after that announcement on LinkedIn and they said to me, "So, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Didn't I just say that I don't want to do anything?" And so 2 months I was on sabbatical and I was just so bored, so bored. And one brand reached out to me a few times and they at some point asked me, "So what's the definition of your sabbatical? When are you going to actually stop this? Because it doesn't suit you. Just have a meeting with us. Let's just have a conversation." And anyway, that meeting um, led to them asking me to consult to them. But one thing I have to mention, what I was very clear on that I don't want to have a full-time job. I didn't know what I'm going to do, and I thought, well, I'll stay in the flow. That was my answer to everyone. I'll just stay in the flow and see what comes up. But I did not want to have a full-time job. I was very certain on that. So when the recruiter started to approach me, so my answer was always no. But then consulting, I didn't know what consultants do, but that I just had to figure it out because I knew exactly how I can help them. And yes, I started with them in March last year. They were my first client. So I forgot all about my sabbatical very quickly.
Ah.
So I've been busy ever since.
Thrown in the thick of it. Absolutely. What would you say to individuals out there nowadays that are wanting to, aspire to one day perhaps be in your shoes and perhaps are wanting to go down the route of becoming specialists within whether it be CX or loyalty? Do you see, I feel like in my mind, I always have these conversations with marketers where it's like, do you become broad? Do you need to be a generalist or do you need to be a specialist? There's arguments, I think, on both sides and arguments around what the evolution of some of these senior roles are going to look like in the future as well. What's your advice for people that perhaps are starting to think, I really want to get into loyalty and CX? Like, I personally think there's going to be a huge evolution there as AI technology kicks in. What are your thoughts?
For sure. I think, I wouldn't create dogmas around it and the strict definitions. And should I be a generalist? Should I be a specialist? I think you evolve into the things and the roles that the market dictates. I
Yeah.
think maybe it's best to follow the trend because especially for the marketers, things change all the time. What we did last year, we can't replicate this year. It's just not possible. The world has moved on. The economy is different. The consumer sentiment is very different. So sometimes you just need to say yes to things and then figure out how to do them. That would be my probably advice. And you need to build relationships before you need them because you
Mhm.
just don't know at what point you're going to have a phone call. People say, "Look, I've been seeing you on LinkedIn and you seem to know about X. We need help with X. Can we please have a chat?" I get it all the time. So
Yeah,
this
right.
LinkedIn became like a lead generation platform, which
Yeah.
I wasn't in. That wasn't my intent. I just wanted to share and continue to share my points of view and my experience with the view that hopefully it will help brands and businesses to implement that. So make strategic moves as well. And sometimes our biggest growth moments come from lateral moves, I would say, and stepping into things that are uncomfortable for you. Step into the CRM, figure out what this digital transformation means and how AI could be applicable for marketers and be that person to disrupt it whilst the marketing is still warming up to what is it that we're going to do and how AI can help us with efficiency in our businesses. And adoption is not that big still. Yes, we have
Mhm.
chatbots and that we incorporate AI, but they still that's with big insurance companies and the banks. But the retailers are not that fast because they're set in their ways, they have their processes, and it's
Mhm.
not easy to disrupt that machine. So
I find it really fascinating. I think everyone's still wondering, I get asked now, AI, what are you seeing in job descriptions and what's the impact going to be on, and honestly right now, not much. I'm not seeing much. I think, we're all still figuring it out. We're all still some may be a little bit more advanced than others, but no one's an expert. So I
No
think,
one. You're absolutely right. No one's an expert. So therefore, people shouldn't have that imposter syndrome and that they need to have an urge to put it on their resume because we're all still trying to figure it out.
yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask, is there any specific, and maybe this is a little bit more of a personal question, but when I speak to you, I feel like you've got a project going, you're busy, you're doing something here, like, you're so productive, you're on the go. Is there any habits or daily, I don't know, mechanisms in your work in terms of how you manage and measure your day in terms of, being productive and making sure that, you're getting across what you need to do? Is there any advice you give to people that perhaps are wanting to go down this consulting route? And make the most out of your time and so just so that they're keeping on task.
Lucy, we can have the whole podcast just about that. Yes, there is a system. I do have a system. I love my system. I've finessed it over the years, but I have a very strict morning routine that lasts a couple of hours. So it consists of meditation, exercise, reading, always. And if I'm doing any courses and I'm always doing something, then I will fit into that morning time. So I get up at 5 o'clock. So by 7, 8 o'clock, I'm already probably ahead of many, many people. In terms of my intentions for the day, I set the intentions the day before. So by the time that I get up, and if I don't feel very awake, then it doesn't really matter because it's not my decision making time. I made all the decisions the night before of what my top 3 priorities for the day are and how my day is planned out. But you're right, as a consultant, we don't get paid just for showing up. So there is a very different role that we play. Time is of our biggest essence, so we do need to know how to manage the time. So having the focus time is very important. I stagger my appointments and my meetings so that I have them back to back. But I also block out my calendar that I have some thinking time because I work on complex projects sometimes, and it requires me to think it through. And I don't want to be interrupted and disrupted because then my thinking is not clear and I'm not going to come up with
Yeah.
the best decision. So definitely, I have the journaling method as well. I reflect on my days, how I capture my learnings, how I set the goals for the weekly and monthly. Oh yes, I'm very structured like that.
I'm not. I knew you'd have something in mind, but I'm just kind of listening to you, and I'm like, I get up at like 5:45 because I'm a gym person in the morning. I've got to go to the gym. But when I hear 5 a.m., I'm like, you're part of that 5 a.m. club.
I know Robin Sharma book, right? The 5 a.m. Club. It didn't resonate with me, but the 5 a.m. club, I just the way it was written, I don't know, just too futuristic. But the other one that made a big difference, and I think I read that book maybe a good 15 years ago. So I've been on this 5 a.m. club before Robin Sharma wrote the book.
Right.
And Hal Allrod, I will probably get back to. I'll send you the link to this, but
Yeah.
something the morning something. It's a fascinating book. Actually resonated with me because I still remember how the book starts, and it starts with him having a car accident. So,
Gosh.
and I think and it was very dramatic as well. So starting with the book with that was
Mhm.
I just felt very connected to it. And then after he created that morning routine, and I followed that ever since. It's been 15 years. Probably need to revisit the book. Maybe he has a sequel by now as well. But yeah, that was the best. It actually changed my life. It's my career after that skyrocketed. Not that I necessarily that's what I wanted, but it's just something about that routine and showing up every single day to that routine that made a massive difference because you're more
Yeah.
intentional.
Mm,
You don't wing it. You're just like, okay, this is what I want, and I know what I want, so I don't have time to think about what I don't want.
mhm. And you're so right. I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I've had weeks where I look back and go, God, I feel so, unproductive. Like, what have I done? I should have done this and should have done that. And I'm definitely my own worst enemy as well. I'll really have myself at a high expectation. And if I'm not hitting it, not there, then I'm failing. But I've got to say, you've got to have a business plan, a strategy, a weekly to dos. It's super important. Absolutely.
I remember the name of the book, The Miracle Morning, came to me.
Ah, the Miracle
Have you
Morning.
heard of it?
Okay. I don't know, but I'm going to be Googling that
Yeah,
afterwards.
brilliant. I highly recommend it. But in terms of what you just mentioned as well, how to reflect on our days, because you will always find the highlights in your day, regardless how bad it went. Always. And it's good to capture those highlights too, not just to focus on what didn't go well, but what did go
Mhm.
well. And I always
Yeah.
highlight, at the end of the week, like Sunday afternoon, that's my time where I think about the 3 wins for the week as well that just passed.
Yeah.
And there
Okay.
is, can I tell you, it's always more than three. Even if I want to prioritize the three, that there is always more than that. And it's just you constantly in that, by following this routine, you are in that appreciation state and the gratitude state. That's probably why I have so much goodness coming my way all the time. I don't know, but it just seems like I'm attracting it.
Look, I think whatever you're doing, don't stop. It's clearly working. So yeah, you're on the right track for sure. What's the legacy and lasting impact? So, at the end of the day, you've already accomplished a lot, and you've got this fantastic you're in this really awesome spot at the moment where, you're working with some great businesses, consulting, I mean, I can imagine you're getting a lot out of that, but what's your lasting impact when you think about, okay, well, when I'm starting to slow things down finally, what would that look like for you?
See, for me, I tell you what it is and what drives me every single day because I don't have to do what I'm doing now, but it's the it's not about me. It is about how I serve people, how I impact as many people as I can in a positive way. How can I be of service and how I can add value? That's probably why I enjoy consulting so much, just because it gives me that diversity across different industries, different people, different talents, different skills, and I absolutely love that space. And that's why I started coaching people for that reason, because, well, because not because I decided that I want to do coaching, but because people started reaching out to me in terms of, and they want to transition from corporate to consulting and freelancing, to pick my brain on the framework and how I created that structure and the mechanism, what questions I ask, how I create sub niches and content pillars and what have you. And I'm very happy to share that because I, y- you know, the, we are only making impact by the amount of people that we are impacting in a positive way, and that's what inspires me every single day. How many more people I can help, what good
Mm.
can I do? And I think, yeah, that's what it's all about. It's no longer about me. I have, luckily for me, achieved all that level of success, as whatever my definition of success means in my life by the age of 54. And it's all about, supporting those people that I know in Ukraine, some financially and some mentally,
Yes.
and looking after my family. And this is I always think about this every single day, how much I can help.
Well, I think you're remarkable, Anna. I think you're a real breath of fresh air and yeah, super, super inspiring. And yeah, thank you so much for being part of my CMO podcast. I've really enjoyed listening to you. I think our listeners are going to get so much out of this as well. It's almost like a reality check.
I hope so, Lucy. This is the whole idea, right? It's not just to talk about me all the time, but the
Mm.
idea is if there are some bits and pieces in this conversation that can inspire people to keep going, no matter
Yeah.
what, that's the main thing. And everyone should, because life is too short. It's just no point of contemplating. You just have to just dream big and get out and just get it, because you will regret not doing something that you wanted rather than you'll regret doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree.
And you're the best because thank you for this podcast. Thank you for interviewing all these beautiful people. I love listening to it. And I think you're doing a remarkable job by showing up because these podcasts are not easy to organize. I don't run a podcast, but I can only imagine.
Well, they keep me busy, that's for sure.
Exactly, but you're doing it, and you keep showing up, and you keep adding value, and you keep helping people out. And I caught up with you. I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago, and 2 months later, you already have so many fresh projects going on. So
Mhm.
good for you, Lucy. I mean, you're an inspiration to us all. So, and I'm very grateful that you do what you do, and you being a person that so many people gravitate towards. I mean, I feel like my entire network knows Lucy. Because sometimes when I want to be too smart and say, well, maybe you should talk to Lucy Bolan. And they're like, well, I already reached out to Lucy. And I'm in communication with Lucy. And I had a cup of coffee with Lucy and said, okay, well, I can't even surprise anyone anymore. But yeah, so it's you're so instrumental in our community. Everyone knows you, everyone loves you. So thank you.
Oh, gosh, that's so kind of you to say. Thank you very much. Well, it's been a pleasure. I will let you go, but I'd say to anyone, look, Anna is somebody worth reaching out to if you're ever, yeah, I'm sure open to conversations, perhaps in the future, or yeah, going down that loyalty CX. She's definitely a great starting point. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Lucy. It's been such a pleasure.
Remember, the road to CMO isn't always linear. It's filled with challenges, decisions, and moments of transformation. Whether you're charting your course or navigating a career shift, the experiences, wisdom shared today, as with our guests, is invaluable. Thank you for joining us. Keep dreaming big, keep pushing boundaries, and remember that your journey towards becoming a CMO is as much about the destination as it is about the growth you experience along the way. Until next time, continue to innovate, evolve, and carve out your path to CMO.